Hi, I'm Ellen Harris from My Historic District. Savannah's anchor historic district is located right in the heart of downtown Savannah, the Landmark District. It was the first of 11 neighborhood historic districts to be listed on the National Register of Historic Places.
7 million people come here to see it, and they obviously enjoy it.
That's right. Millions come to Savannah to see its beauty and uniqueness, spending time in the historic district. Eric Meyerhoff, along with Bob Gunn, started Gunn Meyerhoff Architects Company in the late 1950s. The duo played a huge role in Savannah's historic preservation movement.
From 1960 until the year 2000, Bob and I did 74 projects in the historic district. Renovation, restoration, and new buildings.
The timing of the founding of Gunn and Meyerhoff coincided with the beginning of the restoration movement in Savannah. Emma and her husband Lee Adler played a critical role in preserving the historical buildings and landmarks.
We got a stay of demolition, a 9-day stay of demolition, so that you, if a building was threatened and it was a really wonderful building, you could try to raise enough money to hold it for resale to somebody who would restore it. All this led to the establishment of Historic Savannah Foundation. So destruction all stopped and preservation was now seen as economically beneficial and was widely publicized. By 1966, Savannah was nationally prominent.
In March of 1973, the MPC came out with a bulletin that they were going to make the isolated riverfront into a parking lot. When we saw that report, we went to the mayor's office. My partner talked to him, Bob Gunn, and he said, "Johnny, you can't do that. It's a riverfront. It's a narrow river, so any ship that goes by, you can wave to, and the sailors on the ship wave back, or whoever's on the ship. And it ought to be pedestrian and not a garage." And he said, "Okay, if you can work with Hussey, Gay and Bell, they're the engineers, I've already hired them, then you can be the architects." We merged together. They did the structural work, and we did the landscaping work.
Meyerhoff and the others made Savannah's Riverwalk what it is today, a picture-perfect site between the river and restored buildings, many of which are several hundred years old.
Cotton was in all those buildings that were warehouses, and when the ships came from England, they would load the cotton onto these ships. And the fellows that inspected the cotton bales were called factors, and they walked from building to building. And that's how the name Factors Walk came about.
Exiting Factors Walk is Bay Street, and another block south is what used to be the central hub for merchants, City Market. The name still stands along with some of the historic buildings, but the atmosphere has changed. Now a tourist hotspot to the west of the revived Ellis Square.
That had a vegetable stand and was so forth, and we suggested that street become a walking street, and renovated a lot of the buildings there.
A block to the south is Broughton Street. Always a central hub of downtown Savannah, it's gone through waves of changes, but for Emma Adler, still remains the site of vivid memories.
Broughton Street was very important, and whenever my mother went downtown, as we called it, she would put on a hat and gloves, and we knew everybody. I mean, the stores were Levy's and Adler's and Hogan's, mainly. And then all the movies were down there too. There was the Lucas and the Avon and the Bijou.
All places easily accessible for the residents of the Landmark District. The famous Oglethorpe Plan or grid is highlighted by the squares or parks.
Savannah is a walking city. You can rest if you are walking. You can sit down in a bench and enjoy just seeing the the oak trees. You come down here and you see things that are totally different from where you live. There's no city that can compare with it. And Oglethorpe did a good job.
Mr. Meyerhoff says he's enjoyed a good life here in Savannah. He's certainly seen and been a part of a lot of change. Professionally, he's most proud of one of the simplest additions to the Riverwalk, one which gives him a lot of pleasure in seeing.
Everybody that goes to the tugboat has a smile on their face.
From the tugboat to the river, to Forsyth Park, East Broad over to Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, the Landmark District, 1 square mile unlike any other. Laid out in 1733, today home to a rich history and flourishing future. Recognized in 1966 by the inclusion on the National Register of Historic Places as a landmark district. For My Historic District, I'm Ellen Harris.